I think
Yeah.
Web3 is like, the savior, the messiah for all the problems. So I think I'm more tilted towards blockchain. And also with the advance of AI, if we can't control AI, it's gonna kill us. We might be in the top like 25% or 30%, but we are in the top 1% as of now, because we are
Yeah.
the ones like, look into the conditions. We are young. We know what will happen in the future and what has happened in the past. So we are in the
Yeah.
right point with the right information, with the right resources, with the right people, and with the right mindset. Being human will be the superpowers for the humans. We are the only generation in the entire human race which knows the entire past and the entire future.
When I look at all the issues in this world, I realized that everything, the underlying principle that I kept finding whenever I was just looking deeper and deeper into the problem, is all this is done because of money. This is the Mooncast.
See you, Space Cowboy.
The journey has been a long one. I've spoken to now 50 experts in the Web3 industry and put over 100 hours of content. Shout out to the truth seekers, the verifiers, the enlightened, the shapeshifters, the reality benders, the creators, and the space cowboys. If you don't get it by now, well, then I guess I'll see you at episode 1000. Let's freaking go! Let's go!
Let's do it.
Man, bro, it's I can't say how much excited I am for this because I really enjoyed our last one, and I really enjoyed our time too at the dojo too as well. I got to learn a lot from you. You have a wealth of knowledge, man. It's crazy, man. So
Thanks, Matt.
super excited for this, and yeah, man. I just want to say just before we start that like I just do really appreciate you just being able to spill all that knowledge that you had about artificial intelligence, because it was just really enlightening stuff, because I didn't know, you know when we spoke about it last time, but you've transitioned now a bit, right?
A lot.
Yeah. Um, walk me through what it is you're transitioning into now and why you've decided to take that leap outside of the tech space and move maybe into something more like agricultural and things of this nature.
Maybe I'll give you some context. I think
Yeah.
everyone now know that AI is advancing so much. So in November 2022, ChatGPT got released to the public, and from then till now, it's like
Yeah.
a huge advancement of AI tools, development tools, and everything. Now even a
Yeah.
non-technical person can easily develop any kind of application without any technical knowledge. Now,
Yeah.
just imagine what would happen after 4 or 5 years. There will be no need for any kind of a technical person. I mean, still you need to understand it, but not like at an expert level. So
Yeah.
there is no future for the tech industry as we see it now. So I thought, okay, what will be the purpose of the human beings? What will be the next, domain for the human beings? It will be definitely again the food industry, the agriculture. I mean, we need to eat in order to survive, right?
Yeah.
We can survive even without coding, but we can't survive without eating. So we again, I think everyone will go back to their roots, and again everyone will go into agriculture. Now agriculture is really really interesting thing. It's not like traditional agriculture where people are doing the laborious things or whatsoever. AI is also coming into agriculture industry along with blockchain and everything. So because of this I thought, okay, if I'm at the start of something, a revolution. Why can't I be at the beginning of it so that I can,
Mhm.
get on top of the wave before everyone could come into the space? So that was my
Yeah.
idea from transitioning to technology to agriculture industry.
Do you think that there's because I obviously we know that we're at this exponential growth phase of technological advancements, and we know it's speeding up, it's not slowing down, but I have I'm a little bit wary about the possibility of AI being able to take over coding completely, because also what about, for instance, cybersecurity, right? how is the AI going to be able to monitor that? Is it going to be the digital security guard for that? Because there's always the hackers are always ahead, of the technology itself. So won't that position always be needed? Also, as well as the cloud services and everything continues to expand, won't they need these digital security guards to monitor the tech space and the cloud space and etc. What is your thought process on that?
So what I think is that definitely tech industry will be there, but not the way it is now. So it will definitely change. Now in future, it's not like it will be a full-time job. It could be a part-time job of 2 or 3 hours per day. It's not like you need to, keep a lot of time and energy on developing application or running the cloud services whatsoever. Coming to the cybersecurity, that's where the blockchain thing comes in. Like blockchain literally gives you all the security that you need instead of cybersecurity, and you cannot hack it. Of course, you can hack it, but still there are certain parameters, which are the certain conditions or certain infrastructure, which will ensure that you are not hacked or the entire system is cool. So I think tech industry will change, and it will be not for everyone. Like, yeah, it's a complicated, it's a complicated thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know that because I just did a podcast recently about the gig economy, and
Okay.
I think that things are transitioning into sort of this gig economy, CMO as a service, CEO as a service. I think that this is
Yeah.
kind of where we're headed towards.
True. True. True.
Yeah, and it just seems so obvious. I mean, even now, I do multiple different things. I advise here, and then I have a company here, and so it's I'm already kind of in this sort of gig type of lifestyle already, and yeah, I think that's where things are going. So if that's where things are going. Does that just mean that we would just then reduce the capacity of productivity? Because I mean, that's how things used to be, wasn't it? Wasn't it that before we were doing this 40-hour work week, this slave train that we've been on for however many years, is what I like
Yeah.
to call it. But before that, it was more like 5 hours a week, and you were able to facilitate enough economic value that you would still be able to survive and feed your family and take care of your family. So are we just going to transition more into just working less? I mean, or is it going to be everyone's going to be scrambling looking for work? How do you see that?
Did you heard about OPCs, one person companies?
Yes.
So it's literally one single person doing all the things. So now you have AI agents which can do all the tasks. So you can create an AI agent which can do all the finance work, an AI agent which can do all the admin work, an AI agent which can, do all the regulatory work. So literally in future, maybe I think in 5 or 10 years time, there will be $1 million company which is run only by one single person. And now we are literally looking at all the YouTube creators. Now they are using AI tools to create huge use content which is almost equal to Hollywood, content makers. So you can
Yeah.
imagine what will be the future. Now coming back to your question, whether we all will be looking for work or it will be something else, I think in future there will be no jobs, which is not a scary thing, because everyone will be an entrepreneur in his own self, because everyone can create some sort of, value from them. So if I'm good at content creation, I will create, n number of content creation companies. If I'm good at agriculture, I will do so sort of things, right? So
Yeah.
in future there'll be no jobs, but everyone will be an entrepreneur. So that's where I see the future is.
Yeah. In terms of because I have a very very similar sort of thinking. This is why I've planned. I've bought some land. I'm about to build a
Oh,
sustainable
nice.
home. Yeah, 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 because I see the way
Is
stuff
it
is
like a
going.
solar punk?
Not exactly, not exactly, but it's going to be
Okay.
just self-sustaining. You're going to have the solar panels, you're going to have the borehole rainwater, you're going to have the garden to grow food, to farm and etc. And so I'm building that out now. Already bought the land, and then because I have a similar thought process as you, where I think the world is trending more towards self-sustainability, right?
Yes,
Not
yes,
just
yes.
from a physical realm, but also economic realm of finance, right? Personal finance. So take control of your own finance, right, and move your value as you please around. And
Yeah.
I think that's where we're trending. But where did you? What made you come to that conclusion? When did you come to that conclusion? What made you? And then what made you take action on that conclusion that you made?
So, as you know, that I'm an AI engineer working with many startups on a daily basis. Literally, I'm working with like 10 startups on any given day. Now working with them and doing all the stuff, I saw that AI, which is like, advanced, and also you might check something called cursor.com, which is like a VS Code kind of a thing, but with AI you can
Mm.
create an application very, very easily anyway. uh, but yeah, after looking at all these things, all the technology and everything, I thought, man, like, we cannot survive in the coming 5 years, and it's like stupid. I will be a stupid if I don't, go to another industry. No one can survive in this industry in the coming days, because I cannot compete with my, juniors who will be coming with more advanced knowledge compared to me. So I thought, okay, let's do something new, something different. Then I thought, okay, what would be the thing which every human being needs? Then I came into, okay, sustainable living. As you do,
Yeah.
even I bought some land in India to create a solar punk kind of an, community. I think that will be the future. Now we are
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah.
digital cavemans. Like, everyone wants to go back to the roots. Everyone wants to eat natural food.
Facts.
Everyone wants to
Mm-hmm.
breathe natural air, drink natural
Yeah.
water, no artificial
Mm-hmm.
things. But anyway, so going into the sustainable living concept, I thought, okay, which is the major thing that I can do at the beginning? So I thought, okay, let's go to agriculture, which is a very big thing in India and also in many Asian countries. And I want to revolutionize, uh,
Yeah.
agriculture using AI and blockchain, which is still a new thing in the industry.
Did you know that smart contract developers make around $120,000 per year? We are building the biggest Web3 talent pool in Africa, linking you to companies looking to outsource cheaper labor. Find out and join us at helico.xyz. And as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
How would you plan? How would you do that with Web3 and in the blockchain?
So blockchain can actually solve many things. So the most important problem for any Asian farmer is like the insurance, because of
Mm.
various floods and other kind of things, because of, thanks to climate change. Because of various, like the climatic conditions, farmers are losing like billions of dollars per year. So
Yeah.
with blockchain, we can ensure that everyone who is affected by these climatic conditions can be given the proper compensation. So that's one thing.
Yeah.
Blockchain can solve the things. And also, you can track literally every food source. Now, let's say you are eating some sort of like apple. Do you know where it came from? How the farmer produced it? We do have the systems now, but we do not have transparent systems. That's a problem. We need to be transparent, right? And blockchain solves that. It will show you how and where and when and by whom it has been produced. So that's the other thing. And there are many other things that I can say which will take like more than an hour for the applications. So I don't want to go in depth into that. But also, the other major thing about AI and agriculture is that with data science and AI, we can precisely know what people will be eating in the coming 2 years or 3 years, and in a particular area, what will be the localized foods that people like to eat.
Yeah.
Depending on that, we can actually grow the plant, grow the crops accordingly, and also we can reduce the transportation cost, because people will literally know where and how much the produce needs to be produced. So there are many other things that we can do with AI and blockchain in the industry.
Do you think that it will be hard, to implement things like this, especially when you look at, corporations that are in control right now and how they think, how they operate on just profit and not humanity? Yeah.
Actually, how I can say that, I don't want to say corporates are evil, but they are evil. It's like,
Yeah.
it's because of capitalism. I'm not a communist, but I would say, after seeing all these things and after experiencing all these things, I think somewhere we became like individualistic beings. We are only thinking of ourselves, and corporates are the biggest epitome of that individualism.
Yeah.
I think cooperatives will be the new trend in the coming future, because all the Gen Zs or the Alpha generation, they want to, they want like a shared community. They don't want to be everything for themselves. They want to share with everyone. They want to be sustainable. They want to protect the environment and everything. So I think the future will be cooperatives. And coming back to the question, the corporates has not still domi- are not still dominating the industry, right? They do dominate the traditional ecosystems, but they do not dominate the future ecosystems. So it is up to us as a individualistic or the young people who needs to go in, step in, take the control of the industry and share that to the other people. If we don't
Yeah.
do that, definitely in future you'll be having evil corporates controlling everything, literally from what you eat, what you breathe, what you drink, and everything. So yeah,
Wouldn't you
that's what I
that
think.
wouldn't you argue that's kind of how it is now?
It is, but still, we don't have chance now. But because of
Yeah,
these latest technologies, we have a new opportunity to take control of the industries. Like literally, AI is rewriting all the industries. Blockchain is rewriting all the industries. So now it's our chance to step in and take control of it, so that the old corporates won't take control of it in the future. If
yeah,
if in the equation, if we are not there, then it will be the same.
yeah. Would you, because you talk about us transitioning into more of this individualistic type of mindset, would you say that it's mainly due to Western influence?
Uh, that's a good question, but I don't want to, say something on West, but definitely that's the Western mindset. I mean,
Yeah,
let's all agree on that. Like African mindset or the Asian mindset, it's not like that.
yeah,
But coming
yeah,
to the
yeah.
European or the American, like especially the US mindset, it's like, everything for us, everything for us. We want to consume everything. The
Mm,
world is for us. We are the center of the universe or whatever the
mm,
stuff, right? I mean,
yeah,
we can't blame them. It's because of their past history. They have, they have become like this. But it's time for the nations like we Africans or the Asians
yeah,
to lead the way. Now this is
yeah,
our generation. This is our this is our
yeah,
time
yeah.
to lead the generation. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you just look on a metrics perspective in numbers, Africans and Asians are, what, like 70% of like the global population,
I,
something like that.
I think I can't remember the line, but there's a point in Myanmar. Okay, so if you draw a
Mm.
circle, I think it is something like 3,600 kilometer radius, which
Yeah.
includes India, China, Malaysia, Laos, Cambodia, and these parts of the world.
Mm.
That circle, which is maybe 20% of the entire surface of the earth, contains 50% of the population.
Wow. That's
50% of the
insane.
population. Yeah, it's
That's
like,
insane.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a very
Keep
popular,
populating.
yeah, it's not like that because no, the reason why there's a lot of population in Africa or Asia is because our lands are, more suitable for human populations because we have
Yes.
rivers, we have forests, we have all the things that are required for human, population to grow and sustain.
Yeah.
So that's the reason.
Yeah, yeah, it makes absolute sense. And then I think also another thing that ties into it maybe too is just the cultural communal aspect of like it takes a village to raise a child. Whereas I think the Western
Yep.
mentality is more of just the individual. So like they're stressing out like, oh my God, we have a kid, we have to handle it ourselves, we have to do it ourselves, and they don't really rely as much on the extended family to help in terms of nurturing that child, and they all kind of live in a cubicle like instead of like a house.
Yeah.
It's just completely different, not around by nature. It's completely different. I think the mentalities, um,
True. I
but
think in future, no one would like to have babies because everyone is thinking, mostly the Western culture, because it will also spread to the entire world. But what I think or what I see in the future is no one want to have kids. They want to live their life as long as they can and just die. That's it. They just don't want responsibilities. That's a alarming trend. I don't know what will happen to the human race, but that's where we are heading towards.
really, man,
Yeah.
I hope that that isn't the case. I mean, there's some crazy interesting, again, I don't want to call them crazy. They're just very interesting theories going around. Like some people think that they're looking to try to replace whoever they are, WEF, the Matrix, the Rothschilds, the West, whoever they is, because like no one's taking accountability for what's happening in society currently right now. So we know it's somebody within that bubble or that architect, design or whatever. But the idea is that they're going to figure out a way to try to depopulate everybody and then replace everybody with robots. I don't know what you think about that theory specifically. Is it something that's a conspiracy theory? Is it something that you could see potentially happening?
So it's not conspiracy. I mean, if you look at any religion in the world, they already spoken about these things that human race will cease to exist at some point of time because we as a species are not sustainable for this planet. We are not good for this planet. with this kind of a mindset. We are cutting the trees, we are killing our own brothers. Like all the animal kingdom are our own brothers. But what are we doing? We are killing every one of them, and we are
Yeah.
making fun of vegan people. Even I'm making fun of vegan people until I know what I'm doing, right? So we are doing a lot of things which are bad for this planet. So we need to, we need not, we shouldn't be existing in the near future. That's what
Yeah.
the anti-religions has told. But if you look at
But
the bright side, we will exist, but not with this mindset. And we will be replaced by robots, which is like the end of the, the age. So, to just give you some context, we in Hinduism we say now the present generation is called Kali Yuga. Okay, so we have different types of epoch generations, and this is our
mm,
last generation. And in this generation, there'll be no ethical values. We will be destroying the planet. We'll be destroying our own human species. We will be, replaced by robots and everything. So there is a literally a book on this, like, which was written 6,000 years ago. So we know that this is going to happen, but there is also records on what will happen after the, the breaking point. So definitely a new generation of people will be coming who knows, who will be more compassionate, more empathetic towards the environment, and they know, let's not repeat the mistakes what the, the older generations has done. That will
yeah.
be a new age.
Yeah. What book was written 6,000 years ago that discussed some of this stuff?
So it's called Bhavishya Purana, which means future. I don't know what literally the meaning for Purana, but it's like future book of future.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
explains all the things about the future, and many things uh, are coming into, reality now. So
Can
I
you
do
yeah, I
see
definitely
the.
need a link for that. And is it in English too? Can I?
I'm not sure, but I will try to search the, the record for it, and I will send it to you.
Yeah, please, please. I would like to get that information. It's
Sure.
interesting, but would you, because when I look at history, I don't think that humanity was necessarily like how it was pre-colonialism. I just I think
Yes,
like,
yes.
yeah, I think it was much different. I mean, there was I mean, you had, you know, everybody was doing a lot of different things. They had the Mongols, then you had the Timbuktus, you had the Moors, you had, Benin empires. You had so many different empires. The what was those guys in South America? But there's many different empires going on that.
Aztecs, Mayans.
Aztecs, yeah, yeah, the Aztecs and the
Yeah.
Mayans. So when I look at it, was it just like a symptom of post-colonialism? Is this like, or is this because, I mean, this is one of those things where it's like it's kind of hard to tell, right? As we see the obvious, looks like it's winding down a little bit in the West, in terms of the inflation's as high, it's depopulating, the morals and ethics are kind of, not so great. It looks like it's the end of an era. Do you think that we just go into a multipolar technocentric future and everyone just goes back to doing what they were doing and building their high life societies and doing what they were doing, and the West goes back in the dark ages? Like, I don't know. Like, is it?
I think West is already in the dark ages. It is going like every day. If you say the riots, the social injustice, the civil wars, and everything.
Yeah,
Being in UK, I would be not amazed if UK goes into civil war in coming 5 or 10 years because of all the things whatever is happening. I
yeah,
think the future will be led by Africa, mainly Africa, because it's the continent which has actually started the human species, and
yeah,
everyone is going back to Africa, not in the the migration sense, but again going back to the roots, the
yeah,
African values, the African traditions, because
yeah,
Africa has the animistic religions, or what it's called naturalistic religions, which is like
yeah.
pray to the river, pray to the tree, pray to the cheetah, or what.
Yes,
It's like
yes,
natural thing, it's needed. We
yeah,
need to respect our nature. So that's what I think future will be. Also Asia and also South America. So these three continents will be the the torch bearers for the future human civilization, and
yeah,
everyone will go back to the roots. Praying to trees, praying to the sky, praying to sun.
yeah, yeah,
We will be digital cavemen again. Coming back to
yeah,
what I said, digital cavemen.
yeah, yeah. It's more. There's this like, African practice. I wouldn't call it a religion. We had more. Pre-colonialism is more practices, and one of them was like
Yes, yes.
ma'at. and it was more so the idea of reciprocity,
Mm.
which I you give what you get what you give type of thing,
Yes.
and
That's called
so
dharma in Asia. Most of the Asian religion is called dharma. You get
I
what you
know.
give. So,
Yeah, it's
uh,
so, bro. It's
yeah,
so similar. Like when because I'm now just out re-studying a lot of stuff and then comparing it to the cultures outside of the West, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
this is like the same. You just call it this and we call it that, but it's like we're all thinking the same
same.
thing, you know? Yeah,
True, true, true.
yeah. Because I just think that this is maybe a little bit, but I just think that I think pre-colonialism. I don't think that those cultures were mainly about uh, war, and there was more countries of like abundance, or I
Yeah,
don't even call them countries; they're more empires, because they created this the imperialism and stuff created this like borders and all this type of passports and etceteras, and it made things kind of weird for everybody.
yes.
But before we had like empires, and I just think that maybe if we all go back to our roots, as we know, because we have the population control and etc., we can get back to just healing a lot of the cancerous nonsense that we see, where in my opinion, my humble opinion, when I look at Western society, I think the only thing that's like holding it on by a thread is just still this idea that that you can get rich, right? I think that that's the only thing that's like kind of unifying, like that. Oh, we can like make money and get rich and live a high life. And once everyone realizes that like that's no longer a possibility because the inflation is just like rapidly getting crazier and crazier because we're going through this debt cycle,
Yeah.
where the fiat's going to crash. It's just obvious if you look at the metrics. But once everybody now just wakes up and realizes, oh my God, we can't get rich, I think that's when it's just going to be like chaos because,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's the only thing that holds Western society together. I mean, because that's what their culture has been for 3,000 years. It's mainly been money or blood.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I wouldn't say that they have like 3,000 years of history because America doesn't have more than 600 years of history if we consider
Yeah,
uh, the Western
yeah,
thing. But anyway, I mean, I do agree. Now, the other problem, what I would say is that rich is equal to success in terms of the Western values. Like, if
yeah,
you are rich, you are successful, but it doesn't mean
yeah,
that. Success means, are you happy? Are you spending your time with your family? Are you eating good food? Are you living the way that you wanted to live? Are you being happy? That's the most important thing. Is your mind clear, calmer, and
yeah,
steady? That's what success means. But the Western values or the Western influences changed everything. If you're
yeah,
rich, if you're a rich CEO, or if you're a rich boss, then you're successful. What does that
yeah,
mean? It doesn't mean nothing. And look at
yeah,
all the rich people. Are they happy? Maybe few people are, but the others, most of them are like, "Ah, okay, we need to earn more billions, more trillions." Like, it's not sustainable. That's the
yeah,
matter. It's not
yeah,
sustainable.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. I mean, when I look at it, it's interesting because you build these like locations up. You call them like capital cities, so people can come and exploit and
yeah,
capitalize on others. No
yeah,
trees, shitty air quality, and etc. Yeah, it's very very interesting. But it's one of those things where when you look at it for what it is at face value, you just you realize that yeah, you just want to go back to your roots. you know,
yes, yes, yeah,
yeah, you're just
true.
like. But yeah, so I think yeah, there's a
I,
mass
I will actually
exodus.
tell you a trend. So I'll actually tell you a trend now. I think 50 or 60 years ago, everyone used to eat food which is not with any pesticides or insecticides, right? So that was not a very normal thing. But after the Green Revolution, everyone was, producing more and more and more and more. Now
Yeah,
that became a norm. Like everyone are eating chemical foods. But now the
yeah,
latest trend is again organic food, which means like literally with no insecticides or any fertilizers, right?
yeah,
So again, you're coming back to the roots. Now, just in you had a period like 60 to 70 years, which is like a dark period where you
yeah,
polluted the food that you are eating. But now you realize that, oh, okay, this is not what we want. Of course, we
yeah,
might not produce, with the huge whatever the things, but we want to eat natural foods. And with the advance
yeah,
of AI and blockchain, we can produce natural food in larger scales. So That's a new trend, and I think the trend will continue for the coming like 60 or 70 years until the someone evil comes in the future and tries to again, destroy the planet.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
just always some kind of evildoer trying to destroy things. Yeah, it's very very interesting, and so I want to talk about because I know you are more in the AI sector, but it
I
looks like
was.
you're yeah, it looks like you're more transitioning. I know you're kind of basically out of tech, but it looks like you're more open to like Web3. You know,
Yeah.
and where did this walk me through that process of why you became more open to Web3 technology and what it could do for society?
So I think all the technologies that have come now, like all the internet or or whatever the AI and everything, they are all centralized. They are only controlled by few people who knows how to do the stuff. But
Yeah,
for the first time in the entire history of mankind, blockchain is the only technology that is decentralized. Literally,
yeah,
it is decentralized. The technology
yeah,
itself is called DLT, decentralized ledger technology, or
yeah.
distributed ledger technology, but it's decentralized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can participate in the network, everyone can contribute something, everyone can get something out of it. So I think
Yeah.
Web3 is like, the savior, the messiah for all the problems. So I think I'm more tilted towards blockchain, and also with the advance of AI, if we can't control AI, it's gonna kill us. It's gonna, it's like uh,
Yeah.
destroy the entire human race, like Ultron in Avengers movie. So
Yeah.
blockchain is the only thing that can stop AI from doing that kind of a thing. So everyone can have a kill switch for the advanced, the sentient AI. So that's what I think.
Mm.
Like blockchain will be the future, and it will be saving a lot of things.
The entire global north has an aging population, while 70% of Africa is aged 30 and younger. Less humans plus high inflation means that businesses make less money, but it doesn't have to be you. Helicode is your one-stop shop for cheap, affordable, and most importantly, quality Web3 labor. Find out more at helicode.xyz, and as always, see you, Space Cowboy.
In this era of so much like misinformation, like we won't even get into like what's happening in the UK, but uh, anyways, this where do you think like AI does AI make things worse? You know, like how does
Yes.
AI play a role? Because I'm like people just don't know what truth is anymore. I mean, when kind of if you just look at it from the core, I always go to the core. From the education system itself has been a lie. I mean, in terms of like history and etc., they just kind of lied to us. So now everyone's just kind of confused because the whole thing was just built off of the fabric of a lie, and everyone's just trying to spew out their own truths. And like, how do we verify?
That's a very good question, actually. I think I just want to come back to what you said about the history as being a lie. So, if
Yeah,
you know that history is not written by heroes but by victors, so whoever
yes,
won, they will write the history in their own version. So,
yeah,
we never learned the real reality. We were
yeah,
always lied about our lives in the past, in present, and also for the future. Now, AI has become so advanced that it can create fake propaganda, fake agendas, fake news that we don't know what is reality and what's the real news, right? What's the fake thing or the real thing. Now, blockchain is something I wouldn't say that it will solve all the problems, but it can solve the problem of identity. So if I'm creating the news, I need to enter my details into the blockchain, and that news, whichever the transaction will be, it will go into the mainstream media and people can see to it, and it gets circulated. But if a
mm,
AI also does the same thing, we know that okay, this news has been generated by an AI bot, not by a
yeah,
human being, not by a verified source. So then we can know okay, this data might be incorrect.
yeah,
Now, coming to a human being, we might not be so much creative in creating the content, and AI can be so much creative. Now, it's up to us whether to go with the shining object thing or whether the real object, right? So again,
yeah,
it comes back to our own conscience whether we need to which one we need to follow. But still,
yeah,
blockchain will give you okay, this is verified and this has been done by the human being. Do you want to follow it or not? That's up to you. So
yeah. Yeah, it's, it's
yeah.
it's I think it's super fascinating I do think that there's still a lot of work to be done in the industry in terms of like the onboarding process, the ease of use, the convenience, and etc. But I think those things will be worked out over time. Like same with Web
Yeah,
two. You know, when Web two was
true.
when it came out, it was so clunky. Uh, I remember just like it took like what 10 minutes just to fire up the internet. You know, like it was just like the dial up it, etc. So yeah,
Yeah.
we I think would definitely evolve. But another thing I wanted to ask you too as well, because you did speak more about this idea of like solopreneurship and self-sustainment and etc. And do you think that's something that's achievable for most people? Or do you think most people are inherently not going to be skill maniacs like maybe you or me who like to like self-develop, learn new skills, and etc. And like also stay ahead of the curve to see what's happening. Because me and you have the same ideology. You got land, I got land. You're thinking about farming, I'm thinking about farming. Because we both kind of see the trend going the same way.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So,
So what I think is that no matter what you provide to some people, they will never come on the top because it's not how they're hardwired. Some people are
yeah,
so hardwired that no matter how many obstacles that come into their, their journey, they'll still come on the top. So we can never have a, equalitarian society because few people will always work harder than the other people. So that's one
yeah,
thing. So people like us, I mean, if you look into our, both of our lives, you're also
yeah,
looking into farming, sustainability, solar punk kind of an environment. Even I'm looking at the same thing. You're into
yeah,
tech industry, I'm also into tech industry, and we
yeah.
are not alone. There are few people who already know, okay, this is going to happen, let's jump onto the new thing. Now let's not waste our time in being into the tech industry or wasting our time here, because the future will not be the tech industry, it will be the whatever the other things, right? So
Yeah.
there will be like 1% of the population which will be riding the
I'm
next
sorry.
wave.
That
The
just sounds. That metric is just. What does that mean for the other 99%?
That's the truth, man. That that's the truth. That's the truth. So
I'm sorry. You just. It's
99%,
just.
but
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, it's okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the truth. Even I felt like, okay, we might be in the top like 25% or 30%, but we are in the top 1% as of now because we
Yeah.
are the ones like look into it, look into the conditions. We are young, we know what has happened in the what will happen in the future and what has happened in the past. So we are in
Yeah.
the right point with the right information, with the right resources, with the right people, and with the right mindset. So
Yeah.
we know how to transition, right? But the other
Yes.
people in the other parts of the world, they still don't know what will happen in the future or
Yeah.
what is going on right now. So
Yeah. It's just the
fortunately we are in the
laggards.
1%.
It's just it's unfortunate because I'm laughing, but it's like it's not funny, but it is. But it's just like I try to because like you said, not everyone has the same all those ducks in a row that we do. So
Yeah,
when I'm trying to
yeah,
give people a little bit of like friendly advice, like hey, you should probably think about sustainable living. People look at me like I'm a crazy person. Like I'm like all right. I mean, you do you, but we'll see how this ends. This fairy tale ends. But it's another thing too. I wanted to ask too as well because if you look at it, if we're all gearing towards that future that you say, how do we differentiate who has more value versus another person in this sort of egalitarian type of society? Or, I mean, we're not going to live in a utopia, right? So, what do you see
yes.
in terms of that? I mean, do you think a utopia is possible? I mean, do you see everything that's going on in society right now?
I mean, I'll come back to the utopian thing, but before that, let
Yeah.
me answer who will be the person who will be having competitive advantage compared to other persons.
Yes. Exactly.
Anyone, anyone who can control his emotions and who can actually have a great mental strength will be the strongest person in the future. Because
Yeah.
literally everything that a human being can do are already being replaced by automations or robots or AI and everything. So what's the only
Yeah.
thing that you can do? The only thing that you can do is communicate with your fellow persons. Am I communicating in a proper way to you? Am I being friendly to you? Am I being empathetic to you? Am I being uh, you know am I being the liked person? So that will be my superpowers in the future. Being human will be the superpowers for the humans.
No, no way,
That's the
bro.
thing. Yeah,
Being human, like
will
I
be the
would have never
superpower.
thought. it's
I
it's
mean,
it's
come on.
insane.
I know, but that will be the future. So uh, that will be one thing. And coming to the utopian thing, it's not only our generation, but there are many other generations in the past who tried to create the utopia. Uh, you know, which is like the ideal society. But to be
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
very, very fair, they can never be an ideal society. They can
yeah.
never be like, even without the human race, they can never be an ideal planet. They can, yeah. It's just that we can never have perfection.
W- Were our parents hoodwinked?
Sorry.
I said, were our parents were they hoodwinked? Were they tricked? Were they duped?
Yes. Yes.
It's
I think not only our parents, but also our grandparents.
yeah,
So
yeah,
those are the generations which are like, they don't know what will happen in the future, and they completely lived in lies, false
yeah,
information.
yeah,
So,
yeah. How do you
one thing
deal?
I'll tell you,
Tell me.
we are the only generation in the entire human race which knows the entire past and the entire future. I
Which
wouldn't say that
generation
we
are you
know 100.
speaking of? The
Our
millennials?
generation,
Millennials.
our generation, millennials. I mean, uh, anywhere from 1990s, right?
Yeah.
So we can say millennials and Gen Zs are the ones who know everything in the past, like literally most of the parts, not like
Yeah.
100% of the past, but most of the
Yeah.
part. And also we know the most of our future. So we
Yeah.
are like in a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Uh, so we know what is the truth and what is the, false, fake information.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
the struggle I think I have talking to my parents because they first of all they understand the internet exists, but they don't understand that how it's being leveraged. And that's one form of leverage, right? Is the fact that we can literally outsource information within seconds and get it
Yes.
directly, and then also we can look at and compare sources within seconds, and then
Yeah.
read it, or we can, and we have multiple outlets in different verticals and ways in which we can digest that information. We can do it while jogging and listening to an audiobook or a podcast. We can do it while eating something and putting on a YouTube. We can do it while sitting down and reading. There's just multiple ways. We can do it by going to actual physical courses and going to go see that. We can go to digital courses and we can get the information that way. So there's so much different ways we can get information now. And I think my trying to explain that to my parents, because I was telling them too as well how the technology itself has scaled everything. And I was explaining to them why I was building out this Web3 Academy. It's just the
Oh,
final
nice.
hoorah. Yeah, yeah, I'm building on the Web3 Academy because it's just like my final. I think everything's trending towards Web3 and decentralization and self-sustainment. So
Yeah.
I want to empower Africans with this knowledge as much as I possibly can before. I don't want to sound like a doomer, but before before poop hits the fan.
Yes, yes,
um,
yes.
so yeah, I was explaining to my mom. I was like, look. I'm building out a digital school because of technology. So now instead of having a physical school where it's not scalable, it's in one location, it has a high upfront cost. My cost base is literally almost zero. I put it out online, I market it to everybody around all of Africa, and then I'm able to then get people to sign up and then market it a bit, and then that's just how it works. So now it's more scalable, and then those people, when they enter the course, they find that it's valuable, will tell other people, and then they scale it, and then also the marketing and the digital marketing continues in it. So trying to explain this to her, she doesn't really fully get it. Like I'm like, no, school and knowledge and all this stuff is all going to be on the internet, and she's just not getting. I just think I'm actually. So there's a couple things that I'm doing right now. I'm writing a whole different economic model for Africa, because economics is the study of scarcity.
Yes, yes.
And
True.
I was like, why are we even following this model in the first place? So I just like crumbled it up, doing it. I was like, it's Africa's is the continent of abundance. It's been feeding everybody
Abundance,
for
yes.
So anyways, I'm doing this new economic model, and so I'm just trying to break down all the different nuances that I think that are wrong with how things should be handled moving forward in terms of, like you said, like preserving nature, living life in abundance, community-based everything, which is what
Yeah.
Africa was, before pre-colonial Africa, at least, So yeah, this is just stuff that I'm trying to explain to my mom, and it's very hard for her because she had the colonial schooling, and she doesn't see where things are. And I'm fully, again, and also in this, I'm putting in that we're transitioning into this multipolar technocentric future, right? That's the main point that I want to make. This
Yeah.
is what my thesis is. I could be completely wrong, but I really see it as I don't think there's going to be, okay, the Western Empire crashes, and then there's like a new guy and he comes in. I don't think that's I think we're just going to move into a multipolar technocentric future, and that's just going to be how we
Yes.
operate moving forward. Is that your
Agreed.
thesis on how we move? Are you thinking the same thing? Hey bro, I'm just trolling is something that will not just challenge your perspective, but also touch your heart and soul. It's a book that defies convention, blending art and literature into a thought-provoking masterpiece. A reflective piece of provocative art that tackles societal constructs from angles you've never considered. Hey bro, I'm just trolling delves into the very essence of our existence. It questions the technology that surrounds us, challenges our notions of beauty, stares unflinchingly into the eyes of death, and questions the boundaries of freedom. It scrutinized the educational system that molds our very future. This book is a journey, an exploration of shared human experience, and it's a work of art that refuses to be confined by tradition. It's a canvas painted with words, a melody of thought, and a testament to the power of creativity in a world dominated by algorithms and data. Visit moonboycapitalventures.com and get your hands on Hey Bro, I'm Just Trolling today. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Now let's jump back into the show.
Yeah, two things. I mean, coming to the school thing, coming back to the school thing, I just wanted
Yeah,
to comment on one thing. We will definitely have physical schools, and it's not going to go anywhere. Now, the reason is not because of the information, but because of the being human. You can't be a human just by learning from online. Of course, you need the online information, but still you need to go to a place, you need to meet at a place, you need to talk with the people, you need to laugh with them, you need to
yeah,
crack jokes on them, you need to bully some people, get bullied by some people. That's all part of the life, right? You need to go through few things like the highs and the lows and everything to be a proper human being. So you'll
yeah,
still will be needing a place, which could be a school where you will be experimenting on the things that you learn online,
yeah,
right? So that will be the future school. And also, I'm trying to start a school in India. That's another thing. I will reveal soon in the future. But yeah, that's another thing. Coming
nice.
back to the multipolar society, I think yes, I agree that there will be there shouldn't be any borders, especially
Yeah,
because people. I mean, we need to move as we like to any
yeah,
place, go to any place. We should have our own identity. Being an Indian, I'm proud of my identity, but I still should be able to move to any other country, contribute to the economy or contribute to the people, because literally, I have a mindset where I want to go to somewhere South America, maybe to Colombia or maybe to Ecuador or to Chile, and contribute something to the local indigenous societies. I want to create some ecosystems where they can benefit it, but I
yeah,
can't go right now because of the borders or because of the restrictions or because of whatsoever things, right? So
yeah,
that shouldn't be the future. The future should be like, if anyone wants to do anything, they should be able to do that, but under the regulations, not in the immigrant regulations, but in ethical regulations. You can
yeah,
contribute to the society, but don't try to destroy the society as it is, right? Don't try to inculcate or don't try to influence with your culture. Just try to be in their culture, be a Roman in Rome, that kind of a thing.
yeah.
uh yeah, so that's where I think the world should be, but I don't think it will be forever.
There's actually a company that's working on building out this digital passport,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, and actually, I'll send you a link after this podcast. I find their company very interesting. They have, I think, agreements with 10 governments so far, and
Nice.
yeah, so they're trying to decentralize being a nomad, basically, just moving
Ooh.
around. Yeah, which is very interesting. I was like, oh wow, this is a very interesting company. So where you can get like your digital passport. I think they do some kind of KYC. I'm not entirely sure how the whole thing works, but I think once they KYC you, verify some of your stuff, then they go ahead and give you the passport, and then you pay for it. And I think there's just some requirements that you have to meet. And once you have it, then you can actually use it for those 10 partnered governments that you have. But even then, I still think it's the best solution. I think the solution just be, hey, just let people like move around. And also when there's like, if you look at Africa, you know, the borders, it's like super annoying. If you know, I don't want to get too much into it, but if the borders are removed, it just makes it easier to flow information and business, you know, with through one another, you know. So it's like, hey, I see you have a problem, and I can solve that problem, but you know, I'm in the Gambia and you're in, I don't know, Kenya, and I can't get there without like this passport. Then I keep getting disapproved. It's annoying, you know, and it's costly because of tariff taxes when you're flying, etc.
Yeah.
So if you can remove all of that crap and just make it easier, and then people can logistically just move around more freely, it's gonna evolve things much faster and more smoothly.
Hmm.
And also, you mentioned one thing too as well that I wanted. It's a little bit going back. I just want to revert back to something you talked about with different KPIs and metrics for success. And
Yeah.
I look at the Bhutan. I don't know if you're familiar with this country.
Of course. I mean, it's like our neighboring country.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I look at them and they actually don't have like gross domestic product, like so they don't measure in GDP metrics. They use gross domestic happiness.
Gross happiness index. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, gross happiness index, right? And I found that super fascinating because I was like, yeah, that's how I would like to live, you know, and
Hmm.
and I would like to live with the nature, less like all the time having to drive around and polluting the air with carbon emissions, and living peacefully, you know, learning history, protecting culture, protecting ethics, morals, values, being a good Samaritan to one another. I think that that's where I would like to trend towards, and you know, so I'm hoping that Africa can get back to that pre-colonial state that it was at, instead of trying to chase that Western ideology. I don't think it's the best ideology for humanity. I mean, and we see the results. I mean, it's just clear. It's just, if you're not ignoring your eyeballs. I mean, unless you ignore your eyeballs, then you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that moving forward, just seeing, you know, like I said, the population cohorts, the speed of technology, and etc. I just think that's where we're headed towards. How we get there, I think that we can't get to that end point without war, unfortunately. So I think that that is coming, and I don't know if you think that that is also coming. What are your thoughts on that specifically?
I think there will be a great war in the coming days or coming years. I don't know the exact date, but definitely there will be a great war where many countries will be involved. Some countries versus some other countries, because countries want to expand. Again, if you look at China, it wants to expand. Now, I don't want to get into whether it's good or bad, but because of its cultural aspects or whatever things, they want to expand. They want to take in Taiwan, they want to take in Philippines, Vietnam,
Yeah,
Korea, whatever the stuff, right? And also, if you look at Russia, what it is trying to do, it is doing the same. And the other things, Azerbaijan and Armenia, so the same thing. So everyone are trying to expand. And definitely there will be a breaking point where every country will try to start fight with the every other war. Now, there will be two consequences for it. One thing is definitely Africa will be united in the future because of the common identity and the common race thing and the almost common religious thing to some extent. I'm not saying that, entire Africa is one religion, but still, I think for Africans, identity is more than the religion. They are like brothers no matter which religion you are from, because I've seen many people, a person from Gambia or from Kenya or from Nigeria, they interact like brothers. I mean, I'm
yeah,
so amazed to see, and it's like lovely to see them, like they interact
yeah,
very, very nicely.
yeah, yeah,
So Africa will be the first continent which will be united on a mass scale. There will be no borders, so that's what I think. I hope, and I also think South America will be the same, because literally I don't know why they have borders. Like literally, they all speak Spanish. They all have the same culture. They
yeah,
all have, I mean, a different culture. I do agree that there are many, micro different diverse cultures, but still, they are on a larger scale. They are the same. And I
yeah,
hope Asians also combine together. I mean, I literally want to see China, India, and the entire Southeast come together as like a one single nation, not in
yeah,
terms of government, but in terms of the people movement or whatever the things. I'm literally not sure about what will happen to Europe or America. I think
yeah,
those will be the future backward regions.
Yeah. I
So
mean, if you just look at the states, let me just try to work out a scenario for you.
yeah,
So, as they continue to print money, people are struggling already right now. Like they're like working
yeah,
side hustles and doing second jobs and etc. Working overtime. So as they continue to keep printing, eventually that middle class is going to get squeezed, and then there'll be riots. Right. The difference is with the United States, that's significantly different from every other country. Is everybody has guns.
oh.
Yeah. So
Did you saw the movie Purge? I think it's Purge.
yeah, that's what.
Purge forever, forever
Yeah.
Purge. So it will be a reality.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be very, very bad. I don't think a lot of Americans understand that. And there's also a lot of psychopaths. There's a lot of people on drugs, on pills, and 75% of America is also either obese or overweight. So
Really? Oh, 75%.
75, yeah. So it's 45-ish% that's obese, but 75% is obese or overweight. So only one in every
Really?
four is at least a normal body weight, right, in America, which is insane.
Mm.
So
Okay.
there's the problems, and when I look at all the issues in this world, I realize that everything, the underlying principle that I kept finding whenever I was just looking deeper and deeper into the problem, is all this is done because of money.
Yeah.
Literally, like you feed people these pills and tell them that they're good for them. You keep telling them to come back and get these pills because you want them to be passive income for you, so you can make money. Um, you feed people crappy food because you want to make money, and then also when they get sick, then someone's making money off of that. So it's literally everything is designed. The racism, anything that you can look at, any kind of ism theory, everything is all underlying principle for that ideology of money. But then when I look back at the history, because it's like checking somebody's credit score before you give the money blindly, right? You got to understand the history, and I'm like, oh, this is like something that hasn't really evolved. Like it's always been for that particular culture, money or blood. I mean,
Yeah.
it was only two things. So I don't know why for some reason they hoodwinked us to think that it was different this time, or it's like one of those. So it's yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So this is like, I guess, like the conclusions that I'm coming to is like, oh, like all this stuff, all this, when you look behind the smoke and the mirrors, everything, oh, it's just because of money. Like why we're fighting, because of this, oh, because like Ukraine and the Russia thing, because you want Crimea so you can have a seaport to, like, because of money, right? So
Yeah.
um yeah, so that's why the Western influence is so strong in Africa and etc. Because of money, so they could
Yes.
keep extracting the minerals and everything for cheap. And yeah, so everything that I look at from that entire fabric of society and ideology is just dealt with. It's just money or blood. Like there's just two options. I mean, there's no humanity within that at all. I mean, there's no sympathizing, no conversation, no communication, no
Yep.
feeling, no EQ, no emotional quotient. It's just money. So I don't know
True.
if you came up with the same with the same conclusion as me, but I don't know.
So I think I was on the other side of the spectrum. So I wanted money. I wanted money. I want to be a rich guy. I want to be one of the richest guys in India. I want to do many other things with money and everything. But as I went, you know, I went for money. Then I realized, what does it like? What value does it give to me? Like, I lost many relationships. I lost many, other emotional things and everything. I lost many things.
Yeah,
I can't say many things, but definitely I lost a lot of myself in this process. So I thought, okay, what am I achieving? What will I achieve if I be the richest person? Am I going to eat the money, the dollar notes or the Indian notes? I will not eat the money, right? What will I do? Now then I realized, from my, like, whatever the spiritual things that I've been looking into, I realized success is not where you went, but during what you were going, right?
yeah,
What you were the person while you were traveling the journey, how you behaved with your fellow beings, how you treated them, what good you have done to the society, to the nature, and to the other things. That is success. Let's not go to the money thing. Let's not, I mean, just imagine. I will tell you one thing. Can you name the richest person 50 years ago,
No.
30 years ago?
No.
Maybe 20 years ago, you can say, okay, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett,
Yeah.
something like that. It's
Yeah.
just 20 years, but you don't know who is the richest person 50 years ago or 100 years ago. Or no one will remember you for being the richest person on this world. The people will
Yeah.
only remember you being a good person, like Mahatma Gandhi or,
Yeah.
Lord Buddha or maybe
Yeah.
Jesus. These are the good
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Let's not go into the religion or whatever they have done, but definitely
Yeah.
these are the good people who has done something good to the society. That's why
Yeah.
we will remember, and we will also remember them for the coming generations. So I
Yeah.
think that should be the case for everyone. We shouldn't run for the money, we should run for well-being for ourselves, for every one of us.
I think we'll close it off there, man. Bro, it's always a pleasure to speak to you, man. Always great
Thank you,
energy,
man. Thank
and
you.
always again just learning from you, and it's great, man. Just exchange knowledge as fellow human beings, man. And where can people find you on the internet and what you're working on?
Mostly I will be in LinkedIn. I'll be posting all my future things and everything in LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my the main platform to reach me. I think you already know my information. I can share it with you if
Yeah.
you want to, but yeah, that's the major thing.
All right, thank you, man. This concludes this episode of the Mooncast, man, and peace.